From the 915 to H-Town, from the Panhandle Plains to the Valley, and everywhere in between, this is the 50/50 Podcast, powered by the 50/50 Podcast Network. Join me, Hector Cano, as we cover the Texas high school club and college soccer landscape, along with an inside look at the college soccer recruiting scene. The 50/50 Podcast is a platform about the people and for the people who are dedicated to the beautiful game. Here we go. It's another edition of Inside Texas High School Soccer. It is episode 7 of season 6. I'm your host, Coach Hector Cano, and I am joined by my lovely co-host, the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend. He's been everywhere across Texas this week, apparently. He is none other than Coach Rafa Castorena. Coach, how are you, buddy?
Pretty good. Glad to be home for once.
Right? Yeah, man, you got some miles. So
for a couple weeks.
Hope you're racking up some points, dude, along the way. So good deal. Well, hey, we're back. We were gone for what was probably the last 3 weeks, I think. We were off for about 3 weeks. So been a busy time, a lot of changes, a lot of things going on, as well as myself going through going in the middle of a district race, right? So it's been it's been great, it's been fun, it's been busy, but excited to be here nonetheless. But before we dive into anything, I want to tell you that our show, we are proud to be brought to you by our title sponsor at TexasVeteranRealtor.com, Jeanette Spain. She is the absolute, best when it comes to if you're in the real estate market for whatever reason, especially in Central Texas, South Texas, you need to look her up. So as we mentioned, this episode is brought to you by our proud partner and title sponsor, Jeanette Spain at TexasVeteranRealtor.com, your go-to realtor for military and veteran families in Central Texas. With her Cover and Move I Got Your 6 approach, you focus on the move while she handles the contracts, deadlines, and all the details. When I say details, right, she's a military veteran, obviously herself retired veteran. That's what she specializes in, attention to detail. This is what separates her from so many. So if you want a realtor who works for you and fights for you, then you need to visit TexasVeteranRealtor.com. Again, that's Jeanette Spain at TexasVeteranRealtor.com for your free no pressure strategy session. Again, that's TexasVeteranRealtor.com. Rafa, what's up, buddy?
Not much, just recovering from the long road trips. Got a couple weeks here and then hit the road again during bracketology. So it'll be another remote bracketology for me.
Dude, when was the last time you did a bracketology at home?
Was
it
it
the one we did live in person?
At Steve's house, yep.
Yeah, wow. And that was 3 years ago now, I think?
No, I take that back. No, we did the one we did, the midnight one, because I came right after
the
SAFC game.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, good deal. So awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about your journey across the great state of Texas.
So I was in this week a couple places. I was staying in Salado. I had to go to Harker Heights High School and Killeen High School for some visits, and then I got to catch Salado High School, a doubleheader there against Smithville. I guess it's my first ever double mercy roll game experience.
Back to back. Wow.
I did 3 mercy rule games this week, so I think that might be a first to experience that. But it was a good game. Seeing, like I said, the Salado boys, they are the defending state champions. They're gonna look tough again, so I think they'll go deep. Same thing with the girls. I know they'll kind of fell a little short last year. They did go deep, but they fell short. But still a great team. So we'll see what they do this year. So I know for them in Region 2, there's a lot of competition that they're gonna have to face against.
Right. So your thoughts, you you take a look at Salado. Salado, many people thought was maybe a year ahead of schedule last year. Some things break their way, right? They're very fortunate along the way at a state semifinal match that you were at, and then they take full advantage of it, win the state title. Do you feel like now they're kind of age, they fully arrived, and definitely last year we're kind of testing the waters ahead of schedule, and now they're like the dominant foe, or what do you think?
What I saw, they're a physical team. Like I said, they kind of overwhelmed Smithville. It was close in the beginning, but then they kind of started flexing their muscle, and they just took over. And it's and then one thing I think, looking at their schedule, they challenge themselves. So that's kind of a good thing there. Knowing that you have a target on your back, you have to challenge yourself. You got to play teams that you may, or at least play at the caliber of teams you may face whether in that regional semifinal, final, the state level. So,
Yeah.
um, they're like I said, they're a team to kind of keep an eye on. Like I said, for Region Three, like I said, for Region Three, and um, they're gonna. I think I know there are some contenders out there that they're gonna have to kind of look out. So we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see who
Yeah.
can kind of knock them off. But as far as with the girls, they just like I said, kind of ran into some kind of buzzsaws and all that. But uh, I think they have enough to go deep. Um, not as what I saw last year, because I saw last year was more, and I call
So
them
they're not the Blitzkrieg this year? Is
they're
that what you're saying, man?
that's
We
so
got a
that's yeah,
breaking news? Is that
that's what I kind of saw a little bit. That now,
yeah.
granted, maybe they were kind of taking it easy. They weren't showing all their cards. Um, knowing who they were playing against because they did face them once and they did win by a big margin.
Right.
So maybe they played more of their younger players to get some more experience, and
Mhm.
and like I said, they haven't really been challenged in district play. But they have, like I said, they got a good win. Some quality teams. I mean, they did knock off Canyon Randall early in the season. Same thing with they knocked off a really good Bay City team. I
Yeah.
think the only loss that they beat Eastview. The only loss they have is against Burleson, which is like I said, I
Right.
believe it's a 5A, 5A, 6A
Yeah.
team. Um, so they know what's ahead now. Can they take that next step and get to what the boys did last year? And then, like I said, they're gonna have to play some. You have the Salinas and a couple of the live Waxahachie type of teams, and Wimberley and all that. We'll
Yeah.
see how they match up to them if they do face them down the road.
So you were like, man, dude, you were like the Grim Reaper last week. Everywhere you went, man, it was mercy rules. So yeah, so
Yeah,
so folks at the gate, right? With his media credentials, if you see Rafa, don't let him in. Don't let him in. But hey, again, we're live, so make sure you jump in here, join us, share your questions, share your comments, anything you want to throw our way. Excited about today's show. Very shortly, we're going to get Jesse Tovar on here, Prep One out of West Texas, town of El Paso, my hometown. So excited to get him on. We're going to talk about some district races that are heating up, some thoughts on playoffs, realignment buzz. We'll have him on here for a little bit. So excited about that. Then we're going to talk about the latest edition of the RPI, the state level RPI, the Rafa Power Index. Then a new segment that we're going to introduce after that, the Texas Sizzlin 7, where we're going to talk about some of the hottest teams across the state of Texas right now. Not necessarily definitely not in the RPI, but some of the hottest teams across multiple districts in the state of Texas. And then we're going to spotlight a couple of districts, some district races in particular that are heating up across all classifications. So don't go anywhere. Stick around. Make sure. So again, send us your comments, send us your questions, anything you might have. But before we bring in Jesse, Coach, tell me what you're watching, what you're reading, what's the latest. I know you've been on the road a lot, so what are your thoughts there?
well, finally got to catch up to my show. Like I said, with Oak Island, I think they had a little break, so I got to catch up with them, and then just lately been watching a lot of I think on the chat sports on the Cowboy stuff, all the changes with the
Mhm.
DC coordinator, who they're gonna draft, and the
All nonsense, man. All
all the
nonsense.
all the money that they have to cut
Yeah,
and so
all
forth,
nonsense.
and with the franchising tagging people, what's his name, Pickens, and so we'll see how that goes, and then I've been watching a little. I guess some of the start of MLS. I saw a couple games here or there. I know Matt's not happy with Houston getting beat by LAFC yesterday, and
Right.
um, so just and then I then really also kind of my mindset too is the preparation for this week for the home opener for SAFC. So I'm with the supporter group with FTC 210. Um, so I've been busy getting stuff together, getting hopefully our tifos come in, and now we see that the weather might be not cooperating. I think they're expecting 70% chance of rain on Saturday, and so
Mm.
we're trying to make up some backup plans to see what can we adjust. So it's kind of plain see right now, and we're gonna meet with some pyro guy. I guess hopefully we'll get some pyrotechnics at the stadium
Okay.
and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Take us.
just
Awesome.
just a lot of stuff, like I said, just to get just kind of the preparation. So there, yeah, it's a lot of work. But like I said, we have a great group of guys that do a lot of great things to get everything together and so forth. So looking forward. It's going to be a busy week for me too. So I got I know a bunch of college fairs this week. I know one day I have 3 fairs in one day. So it's gonna be.
Yeah, good deal. Coach Smallwood's in here. Coach, glad to have you back. Awesome jumping in here. And as well, guys, if you get it, we're working through some technical difficulties here. So again, that's the beauty and the
Mhm.
horror of a live show, right? You get everything. So working through those. So bear with us. We'll definitely work through those as best as we can. Sometimes the system itself, just everything is correct on our end. Everything reads correctly. Our outputs are good. Our audio is good. Our video is good. And sometimes the platform system itself just does not want to cooperate. So working through those. But thank you for being here with us. But yeah, excited. What have I been? Dude, I've been watching a ton of film, to be honest with you. Outside of that, I watched Netflix. I finished a series called The Watcher. Came out a couple of years ago. I don't know if you
Mhm.
saw that. It was kind of interesting, kind of a whodunit, kind of a, but pretty interesting. It's been out for a few years, so I don't think we need necessarily spoiler alert on that one. But it was interesting. It was pretty good. Outside of that, just lots of film, man. Little bit of reading, lots of listening to some podcasts, but lots and lots and lots of film. So but that's it. But it is time. We're going to go ahead and bring in our first guest of our only guest, I should say, of the show. He is Mr. Jesse Tovar of Prep One. Jesse, how are you, man?
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Mhm.
there you go. We got you. What's up,
Awesome,
Jesse?
fantastic, man. No, just checking with my daughter, man. Saying, hey, she was prepping me for the show, man. Just a lot of soccer, a lot of stuff going on. Rafa, how are you, man?
Pretty
Long
good.
time.
How are you, Jesse? Long time,
Good,
yeah.
man. Always a pleasure getting on with you guys, man. And it's always neat to hear what's going on out there in your neck of the woods and getting ready for the bracketology season coming up.
Bracketology. Yeah, man. Hey, it's good to have you back. It's been a minute since we've had you on, and definitely looking forward to having you on here. But before we jump into business, what's the latest with you with Prep One? What's the latest with El Paso Life?
Oh, you know what? It's been great. Well, as far as the soccer season, it's been phenomenal.
Talk
It's
about
been
that. Don't
so
worry, we'll
many
talk about that
shootouts, right?
because you we
Prep
want to talk
one,
about you. Yeah,
prep one keeps trucking. It keeps growing. A lot of athletes coming on board. Soccer, of course, has been really spiking as of late because obviously because it's in soccer season. But and I know we'll segue it later on. But last year we hosted our first All Star game here,
right,
the Prep
right.
One All Star game, and that was a really neat event. And we put it together last minute. And like in the course of 7 weeks, we had venues and sponsors and uniforms, and it was just the community came together to put it all together, and it came out to a pretty neat event. We had about 1,500 people out there.
Awesome.
Yeah,
So let's dive into that first so we don't
yeah.
forget on the tail end of it. So the All Star game this year, so you're going to bring it back the second annual this year. You have a
We're hoping
venue
to.
in
Yeah.
place. You have a venue in place, a kind of a date in mind, but you're still kind of, I know, flexible on that. But give us a little bit of the details in terms of who plays, what classification, size of rosters, how are rosters selected, how does all that break down?
Well, I adapted a little bit as far as how we do it for the men's for the football All Star game. All because we just can't have that many games. I have to have one boys game, one girls game,
Mhm.
4A, 5A, 6A. I
Right.
do 25 versus 25, right? 25 on each team on boys and girls. So that we're talking about 100 total athletes. But it breaks it down here in El Paso, as you guys know. We have a lot of high schools. We have about 32, 34 high schools. So, we make sure that every high school at least gets an invite. Some of them may not have a senior, or it's called, the Prep One Senior All Star Showcase. So they have to be a senior, and some schools may not have a senior, or they might not want to nominate anyone, or somebody's injured. So once we get all the schools invited, then I ask the coaches. I send them a list of for them to rank their players, and at that point we start selecting, and we want to match up the best of the best. We just don't want it's not the most deserving player to go. We want to match up whether they're committed or not. We want to match up the best of the best. In last year's contest, I believe the boys game was 2-1. The girls game was 1-0, I believe. So it was a really competitive matchup, and we split them up down the middle. It was equal. Both
Mhm.
both both teams were equal, so it was a lot of fun. It was hosted at the SAC 2 last
Right.
year. It was their inaugural season, so it was really neat to have it prime time, and the community came out. I had several soccer players that did tell me that they've never played in front of so many people, and it was really neat to watch, and it was very entertaining for the soccer community. And we had to host it late May because of the flag football season. We're at the mercy again of flag football and the spring sport athletics when that venue is not being used. And D1 soccer coach in attendance actually suggested that why don't we have a junior game as well? And I want to have a junior game, and that would be the day before. First, I want to set up the senior game for sure, and then we could look into hosting a junior game with once the season's over. Absolutely, no, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. And Jesse, I'll have to. I see you're sporting the shirt there, and I'll have to double
Yeah.
check and give you my address because clearly my shirt got lost in the mail, man. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, got lost in the mail. But no, just kidding.
No,
So
definitely.
now, how did you? What was the method in terms of dividing teams? Did you try to stick to an East-West model, split it up, or was it just random?
No, no. What I did, I got four coaches. I got four coaches to represent it, and I wanted to reward the district champions. So the invitations went out to the district champion coaches first, and then at that point, I just had every single high school submit their list of players, and then they ranked them, and then I went and I put them in the areas of need as far as how many defenders we were going to have, how many offensive players we're going to have. Each team has two goalkeepers. So it panned out pretty well. I was very, very surprised. I was very nervous. The twins last year, I don't know if you remember the twins from Del Valle. We split them up in opposite teams, and people weren't very happy about that. But it was really neat to watch friends or sisters become foes for one game, and it was just a lot of very competitive, and that's what we're trying to keep it at.
Awesome. So, hey, so we got you here because we're going to talk about
Yes.
all things El Paso soccer, right? Going on in the district races, everything that are heating up. So, you talked to us a little. So, okay, before I get into that though, so no definitive date on the second annual All Star Game yet. Have an idea? You have a kind of a date in mind that you're zeroing in on. Where are you at?
We're hoping it's the first week. It's the first day of March. We're hoping late April or early to mid May, because towards the end last year we actually had it on a Wednesday. It was the absolute last day of May that we could have, because the very next day there was like a graduation. So if we had if we were pressed for time last year, we did it right on the last absolute possible day for us to get a good turnout. And we don't want to infer and intervene with the what do you call it, the banquets, the end of year stuff going on. And
Right.
that's a lot of stuff that we have to consider as well, because
Yeah.
a lot of what we did see is that a lot of players were missing practices because of banquets and such.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and you have to contend with the club season, the spring club season as
Yes,
well. So it's a lot. It's a lot. I get it.
it's a lot, man. Yeah.
Got to put some pressure on Socorro ISD there, right? The SAC is
Yeah, no, I mean, they've been wonderful to us, and we want to definitely host it again at that venue. And if it works out, I mean, we don't want to move it, but if nonetheless, we're looking forward to having it once again, the second annual. So it's a lot of fun.
Great deal.
Maybe you guys could come down here, man.
Yeah, man.
No,
Hey,
no stadium at the El Paso Loco. No, they don't want to.
You know what? That's been suggested. I just because it was the first year and we put it together so late. That's actually someone suggested that, and I wouldn't mind approaching them with that and seeing what all the logistics entail on that.
yeah, that would be awesome. Rafa, I don't
Yeah.
know if you know this, Jesse, but Rafa, huge locomotive fan, huge Yuma fan. So huge
No,
Yuma fan. So,
Yeah, I actually have the Copa Tejas trophy here with me.
Oh, look at you!
I have it in Paso, so sorry, El Paso. We're gonna win it again this year.
We'll be back. We'll be back. Locals will be back, man.
It's staying put here in my place. So
awesome.
All right.
All right, so we shift gears here,
Okay.
Jesse. So we talk about things that are heating up. So across 4A, 5A, 6A, tell us maybe if you could look across maybe one or two on the boys side and girls side district races that are maybe the ones to watch or a couple of teams to watch. What do you got for us?
Well, let's start off with the girls. Obviously, in district, let's start off with District 2 5A girls with the Del Valles, right? We talked about Steph Sazo every year. It seems like it doesn't matter what she does. She always gets a reloaded team. They're 10-0 this year,
Mhm.
18-2-2. She's got it's senior heavy,
Shout
right?
out to my buddy there, Coach Sazo.
Yeah,
Shout out.
so Coach Sazo, she senior heavy. They got Isabella Munoz, Davy Dominguez, sophomore phenom. They have Fernanda Davila, Jimena Hernandez in the defense. They have an Ivana Tovar, joining the ranks there on the defense. I had to plug it in my
Little shameless plug. I love it. I
yeah,
love it.
yeah. No, man, but these girls are getting it done. They're getting it done, and it's a lot of fun to watch. Just it's a young team. Alexia Teo leads the team with about 13 goals. So we want to make sure that hopefully last year I believe they went to regionals and they lost there in the regional quarterfinal, and that was a very tough loss. It was like it happened in the last minute or so. Seconds were ticking off the clock, but I know
Yeah.
Sazo wants to forget that. And sorry, coach, but no, looking forward to them for them to make a solid run. Right behind them is the America's Trailblazers, led by Bella Escobar. Of course, Annabella Escobar has been that phenom superstar there at America's High School. Very, very fun to watch. Then you have El Dorado and Hanks, and it's between Hanks and Parkland for that fourth playoff the playoff
Mm.
spot there at
Yeah.
258.
Now, what do
So
they got?
that
I know we're inside of the last 2 weeks, Jesse. So what do they
yeah,
got left? Is it 3 games, 4 games? What do they got left
I
in that
believe I
season?
believe it's 3 games if I'm not
3.
mistaken.
Gotcha.
About 3 games, and yeah, and some golden balls will start getting hoisted this week because of the separation. Because like Del Valle, they've already played Americas twice, and they came out on top. So they're one win away from hoisting that trophy. Shifting gears now to 1-5A, we have the El Paso High Tigers. It's like every year, just like Del Valle, El Paso they catch fire at some point of the season, and they have led by Kylie Alvarez, their senior commit signee to UTEP.
Yeah.
And then let me tell you about this next one, sophomore Isabella Prieto. She is the real deal, man. She's this young lady scoring 4 or 5 goals a game. She's just taking it over. It's just so fun to watch. She's so physical, and the speed and the separation. It's just she's a woman amongst young girls playing, and she's only a sophomore, so it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch the next 2 years. With that, they got Burgess Mustangs in second place, right behind El Paso High. You have Canutillo. You have Chapin Huskies are in fourth place. Gabby Ramirez did suffer a season-ending injury a couple of weeks ago. The
This is
Isabella
Bella's little sister, right?
Bella's little sister.
Yeah.
She's in good spirits. The surgery went
Bummer.
well, and she's committed, and she's going to sign in a couple of weeks. So, but that's a big blow for that
Yeah.
squad there.
Honestly.
Kailani Guerrero from they used to be at El Paso High, is now at Chapin,
Mhm.
but they're having a little tough year this year. Followed by Jeff, and in sixth place right now it's the Andress Eagles. That's a surprise. Andress Eagles is usually on top, and they're fighting. They're always battling for El Paso with El Paso High for that coveted district title. But I will tell you that make no mistake, Andress is still a solid squad. It's just a lot of close games, a lot of games decided by shootouts. It is what it is. But yeah, they're a lot of fun to watch as well. They're a young team. Going down to 1-4A, you got the Harmony Science Academy, HSA. They're in first place right now, followed by San Elizario. Usually, with San Elizario
Right.
is in sec. They're 13-2. San Elizario's 12-3. So it's one. They're just one game apart. Usually, it's like if San Elizario loses 1 or 2 games, it's like they're having a bad year, right? But this year, it's like it's everybody. It's anybody's district there in 1-6A. You have the Bowie coming in third place. Then your old team, the Isleta Indians, coming in fourth place right now. They're 11-4, led by Sofia Vega, senior Sofia Vega there. You have Riverside, Austin, Clint, Irvin, Mountain View, and Fabens, man. That's wrapping up 1-4A.
Yeah.
In 1-6A, we have Franklin. Franklin is 10-0 this year. And we know that with the likes of Jasmine Guerrero, she suffered another preseason season-ending injury our hearts go out to Jasmine. She had a phenomenal. She's just one of the top players that many of us didn't get to watch
Right.
because of her, just ongoing injuries. Just a very what do you call it? Inspiring story. But it would have been, of course, I know that Jazz would have wanted to, to be out there and playing right now. And
Yeah.
her squad is 10-0. Eastlake is, usually Eastlake is, one of the top contenders. They are in second place, followed by Pebble Hills. Eastlake, obviously, you have Alondra Munoz. Going back to Eastlake real quick, you have Lauren Rivera. You have Dana. Dana Reyes, Jasmine Berry, sophomore keeper, followed by Pebble Hills. Pebble Hills last year, them and Montwood were trying to do who was going to play in for the playoffs. It looks like they're both right now looking pretty good. Obviously, Pebble Hills, led by Samantha Leon. She's really, really fun to watch. She's their forward. Nadia Soto, their captain. Ashley Diaz. Addison Garcia, their keeper. One of the top keepers. And you know what? Going back to Franklin, Sophia Sauchi, that keeper, she is for real. She's one of the reasons why they're 10-0. So Franklin, a lot of I had to give props to Sophia for Franklin's 10-0 record right now. In fifth place you have Socorro, and sixth you have Coronado, which Coronado's been playing tough. A lot of close games. It seems like they're just a young team, very young team. You have Danica Scott and Dylan Ramirez and Sterling Harrison. And to close out, surprisingly, in seventh place right now is the Eastwood Troopers. You still have Alejandra Lopez, you have Lena Martel, but the Eastwood Troopers are having a down year this year, but a lot of close games, a lot of close losses. And just really, really quick, if I could just talk a little bit about the leaderboard in 2-5A from El Dorado, Natalie de Alva. Right now, she has 12 goals. Alexia Teo from Del Valle, 14 goals. Kimberly Martinez, El Dorado, 12 goals. Annabella Escobar from Americas, Bella has 11 goals. Kaylin Miller from Parkland has 10 goals. And Davey Dominguez, another sophomore phenom from Del Valle, has 8 goals. For 1-6A, guys, Scarlett Orwig has 12 goals. Nadia Soto has 9. Megan McKibbe has 8. Isabella Ramirez from Franklin has 10. From Coronado, Sarah Armendariz has 7 goals. And we just talked about Samantha Leon from Pebble Hills. She currently has 5 goals. In 4A, we have Leah Salido. She has from San Elizario. She has 31 goals this year. From Bowie, Genesis Reyes, she has 28. Samantha Tarango from Bowie has 19. America Gallarzo from Isleta has 16. Jaslyn Sarmiento from Harmony has 18 goals as well. And obviously 1-5A closing out the girls is Isabella Prieto with 26 goals. I don't even know if that's updated because she had another 3 the other night. Jasbeth Limas from Canutillo has 22 goals. Charlotte Sutherland, she has 13 goals. She's a lot of fun to watch. Kylie Alvarez, Kylie is just such a strong player. UTEP is so lucky to have her. That kid could have gone anywhere, to be honest. And about the 10 goals. And that closes out the girls' stats for.
So who is the in all of these districts, all of these districts, which is maybe the one district race that is maybe the most exciting to watch that you can tell is going to come down kind of down to the wire? Is there one?
You know what? Del Valle pretty much has it, done. 1-5A, El Paso, I think it's going to be the 1-6A, man. Even though Franklin is 10-0 right now, just the second, third, and fourth, and then the outside you have Socorro. But it's gonna be fun to watch who's gonna be end up in second place from fourth place, because there's like one game separates all 3 of those schools. So you could be in fourth place right now, and it's gonna determine what's gonna come down to the last couple of weeks to see who's gonna be second place and host a playoff game, and who's gonna be in fourth place and have to travel for a playoff game.
Gotcha. So when we look across at the boys' side, right? Maybe if you can pinpoint one particular district, same thing that's kind of tightening up, because I know the parity on the boys' side, there particularly across the state, really, but there in particular in El Paso, it tends to be very tight. What is maybe the district race to watch on the boys' side?
You know what? No Sergio Delgado at Bel Air. This year we heard the news. But the boys are staying strong. They're currently in first place. They did get upset by Americas on on Friday. Americas is right behind them. Jaid and company, they have those guys ready. Third place Hanks. So 2-5A may be the one that the boys that's the most competitive right now. You do have El Dorado fourth place, Horizon fifth place, Delvice sixth, and Parkland seventh. But yes, Bel Air and Americas are vying for that 2-5A title right now.
Gotcha.
In check this one out. In 1-5A, you have the El Paso High Tigers in first place. The thing about El Paso High, they're 7-3. 5 of their 7 wins have come out to penalties. They have a keeper, one of the Benitez twins. One of them is Noah, and the other one's Nathaniel. I believe Nathaniel is the keeper, or it might be switched. I apologize to either, but the freshman goalkeeper has got El Paso in first place with 5 shootout wins. So, and that's not talk about stress, right? Talk about Mr. Clutch.
Yeah.
But the goalkeeper for El Paso has those boys in first place. Burgess is in second. Andres boys is in third, followed by Chapin, Canotillo, and Jefferson round out the 1-5A bracket.
Gotcha. Awesome. Great stuff. And yeah, so those particular districts that go to penalty shootouts, whether you like it or not, agree with it or not, doesn't matter. They're going to be battle tested in more ways than one once you get into the state playoffs, and they're looking at penalty shootouts. So
Yeah.
again, we're talking with Jesse Tovar of Prep One out in El Paso. Rafa, you got anything for Jesse?
Jesse, which of the, as far as the girls teams, has the best chance to really go deep to actually challenge for a regional title?
You know what? Of course, Sazo always has those girls ready to go. They're always peaking at the right time. If they could stay healthy, right? If they could stay healthy, I think Del Valle has a good chance. Eastlake's always they're battle tested. Franklin, of course, right now Franklin is playing excellent soccer. I forgot to mention Alexa Mejia, a freshman phenom coming into Franklin. She plays mid defender, and this girl is a lot of fun to watch. She's the next big thing coming out of Franklin High School, where she just became a Prep One athlete. Very excited to have her, and really excited to see what the future holds. But Franklin is one of those teams. It always seems like a Midland team comes into El Paso and gives Franklin problems every time they're. I don't want to knock on wood. I don't want to jinx Franklin, but that seems like it's the common denominator all the time.
Would they be going D1, Franklin?
I believe so. They'll
Yeah,
be going.
because I actually got to see Odessa Premium girls team play, and they're legit. They're probably out of them and maybe San Angelo Central are probably the two strongest from that 6A. But that Premium team is a legit team that whoever finishes second in that D1 spot is gonna have they're gonna have a lot to deal with them.
Yeah. I can't see a scenario even as big as those 1-6A schools are. I can't see a scenario where Franklin would be a Division II school, just given their enrollment numbers.
Yeah.
And I know they're probably second or third largest enrollment in the city, right? So they're up there. So yeah, I would pretty much guarantee they would be going Division I. So yeah, so lots of great stuff. We start to transition here, Jesse. Thoughts on Rafa asked a great question in terms of playoffs and who has the potential to make a deep run. But now, aside from that, the fallout from last month, right? The realignment buzz. Thoughts as it relates to soccer specifically. Anything that you can share? What's coming out of El Paso?
No, you know what? It's still it's weird because it seems like these realignments start impacting us every 2 years now. And we really don't know. As far as what these coaches are doing really, really well is that what I'm seeing a lot is they're scheduling best on best. So you're talking about the best 5A schools are scheduling the best 6A school and so on and so forth. That's been what I observed this year. There's a lot of good matchup in the non-district preseason schedule. And then a lot of the local tournaments that are being hosted here by high schools, a lot of the top teams are staying home. And yeah, you still have the teams that travel, but you have a lot of top teams going head to head, which is good practice and a lot of times the smaller district teams win. So it's not just, it's not just based on enrollment numbers, but at the end of the day, you just don't know. But yeah, I really can't give an informative take on that because I just don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I have to kind of like, we have to let a year go by. And then once we're getting settled in and we get like everything situated, then we're going to get realigned again,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Okay.
that's how it
Good deal.
happened.
Yeah, I know it is tricky. It is especially particularly when it drops when you're in season, right? And you have like one eye on your current season, one eye on your future season, and changes. It is tricky as a coach. I can tell you it is tricky to navigate. But again, we are talking with Jesse Tovar out of El Paso, Prep CEO of Prep One. Jesse, this has really been awesome. Really loved having you on here. Before we let you go, give us a plug one more time of the Senior All Star Showcase event as to when possibly more info and where can we get more info and where can we also find you on all socials.
Well, obviously, on all of our social media channels, Prep One USA, we are on Twitter, on our Facebook, on our Instagram. Instagram's a big one. Everyone uses Instagram. We do have a TikTok. We're not very active on that, but for the most part, Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. And you can reach us at prep1usa.com. We're still looking for sponsors for the game. It's a big venue. Just before I sign off, guys, just a little bit of I forgot to mention in 1-4A we still have San Lisario first place. Max. He was one of our coaches for the All Star last year, and we have Bowie in second, and the Isleta Indians in third, and followed by Austin and Irvin in 1-6A. Guys, just finishing it up real quick. We do have the Coronado Thunderbirds in first place. That's so awesome to watch. Coronado's there, East Leaks in second, Pebble Hills, and then round off Montwood and Franklin on the boys' side, Eastwood and Socorro. As far as the stat leaders, guys, and give me about maybe 20 seconds on this. In 2-5A, Sebastian Morales from Hanks has 31 goals. Isaac Aguilar from Bel Air has 14. Matias Loya from Americas has 13 goals in 1-6A. Not all the schools have reported. Christian Perez shows 12 goals from Eastwood. Gael Zavala from Eastwood also with 8 goals. And Gael Chavez from Eastwood with 5 goals. Guys, in 4A, Cesar Alva from Bowie, 26 goals. Edwin Martinez from Isleta, he has 12 goals. Kevin Portillo Isleta has 11 goals. And in 1-6A, guys, 1-5A, I'm sorry, Gael Cruz from Burgess has 10 goals. Ian Padilla from Burgess has 6, and Eric Gasser from Burgess have 4. So the Burgess boys are getting it done. Not everybody from on the boys' side did report in, but I will tell you guys, it's a lot of fun to be here with you guys. Thank you guys for throwing a rock out here in West Texas. We're always forgotten, so it's always a pleasure to be on the podcast with you guys, talking a little bit of soccer. And thank you for showing love to the El Paso area, West Texas area. The Prep One Senior All Star Showcase 2026 will take place sometime, hopefully in April, if not May. And look forward to more announcements as the weeks progress on all of our social media channels on Prep One USA.
Awesome. Great deal. Jesse Tovar, Prep One. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jesse.
We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
All right, that is Jesse Tovar, Prep One. Great stuff. Broke down a lot of great info. He's always going to give us a lot of great stuff out of El Paso. Just kind of latest news, latest leaders. Broke down the leaderboard on both the boys and girls side. So great stuff. And it's interesting how the district races are kind of playing out there. But you have some teams that are just very professionally, quietly having great seasons out there. You mentioned Coronado, which I know we'll talk about a little bit later, right? But El Paso Coronado, that is. Hey, shout out to our good friend, Mr. Harry Austin. Harold, good to have you out here, as well as Texas Chief, having you out here. It's been a minute, so Chief, thank you for listening as well. Thoughts, Rafa, on what, before we transition here, thoughts on what Jesse had to share?
There's always a competitive over there in El Paso. I mean, you got, like I said, with the girls' side, it's really kind of elevated. I think the big surprise was the Harmony School in first place for the girls. Because they are a charter school, they don't really have the numbers. Because I do work with Harmony schools for recruitment wise. They don't really have the numbers. They have more numbers like a 2A school. So they for them to be in first place is a good show, and we'll see how far they can go in the playoffs. maybe I'm sure they get to avoid that the D1 bracket where Salino's at, and maybe they have a chance in the D2 bracket.
Yeah.
So we'll see. And the boys' side, I guess it's always competitive. You saw with Bellers doing. They're always in the mix. Surprise of Coronel, which we'll talk about later, and
Right.
the El Paso boys. Winning is winning. I guess when you win in shootouts, I mean, you do what you got to do, and like I said, that's going to pay off in the playoffs too. So because especially close games like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So many people are against it, and whether you like it or don't like it, doesn't. It's like right now the current rule, as it states, according to UIL, is it's up to the districts. So simple as that. You can adapt, or you can hate on all the other districts that do elect to have it. So I can tell you, I've been on both sides of it. So not a big fan of. I mean, I get it, the traditionalist in me, I get it, but then at the same time, I'm not. I'm also not a big fan of teams racking up ungodly amount of draws in district play, right? Which you and I have
Well,
talked about recently. So
we have one in our backyard
right, right.
that has 7 of them.
Record setting, right? Record setting draws in district play.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get it. It is what it is. But yeah, I mean, nevertheless. So before we're gonna switch gears here. We're gonna get ready to go show the RPI. But before we do, kind of wanted to go over and give shout outs to a couple of places that are currently listening to us live. We're being listened to live, obviously in El Paso, Amarillo, as well as Midland, Odessa, Wichita Falls, Corpus Christi, San Antonio, Bernie, and the great city of Austin, Texas. Thoughts and prayers with the people out in the Austin, Texas area, Austin, Texas community, in case you're not aware of what transpired, I guess, late overnight, early this morning. So definitely thinking about them as well. So, all right, we are going to go here and the unveiling of the latest RPI as of March 1st. I'm going to let Rafa do his thing here. See if I can make the better adjustment here. Here we go. All right. So hold on here. It is not cooperating right now. My apologies. So there we go. Okay. So all right. So the latest unveiling here of the girls RPI as of today, March 1st. Rafa, so you're going to break this down. So if you're not joining us, you're not familiar with this, what we do every, every show once in season for Inside Texas High School Soccer, we break down what's called the RPI, the Rafa Power Index. Rafa does his fuzzy VA math, as I call it, right? I call it math, just the funky math like the VA does, right? Has his formula, has his spreadsheet, and he factors in a ton of different data, and then he kind of spits it out based upon also to include strength of schedule, strength of district, all of that good stuff. And then what we do is we have a pound for pound ranking system, power rating system, regardless of classification, 4A, 5A, 6A. We kind of mix it all in together. And then he rates his top 15 coupled with his 5. He likes to call them honorable mention. I don't believe in that. We call them next 5 in, right? So I pick on him all the time, right? But next 5 in. So a total of 20 teams identified here, according to the RPI as of today's date, March 1st. Rafa, go ahead, take it away. Tell us about our first 5 here.
Yeah. Well, the girls is always a tough one. And
Right.
if you look all the top 15, a total of 9 losses out of the 15 teams. So that tells you right there just the quality of teams that we have. And then even the next 5, you only have from them, they only have a total of 7 losses. So it's all, and then there's other ones. If it maybe ever went 30 deep, it's always tough. But what I kind of come down to is who have they played, where they're at now too, as far as winning streaks, big wins, and so forth. So I came up with a list. So we'll start with the first 5 in. El Cocoy at number 1 at 17-0. I know they've been on the warpath the last few weeks. I think, yeah, they got a lot. They're on a mission, like I said. And if whoever's in front of them, just kind of look out. South Lake Carroll, another great season. Can they, like I said, can they get back to Georgetown? A team in our backyard that's been really just kind of flexing months with the Cincinnati Lady Rangers. Like you mentioned, Coach, this probably is their best team they've had, in quite some time, and this could be the year they could probably break through and win a state title for the San Antonio region. And then 4, Lucas Lovejoy, and a lot of people didn't think of him too much early on, but I saw them early and say, hey, this is a team to kind of keep an eye on, and they're at 20-0. They're and especially in a tough district they're in. And then the last, like I said, number 5, I have Salina at I think, like I said, they're going for the 5th one before they move up to 5A.
Yeah, so we got Frisco Wakeland in at number 1, South Lake Carroll at number 2, Smithson Valley at 3, Lucas Lovejoy at 4, and Salina at 5. Yeah, just a gauntlet of incredible teams here. I mean, yeah, Frisco Wakeland, we talked about it. A ticked off Frisco Wakeland is very scary, right? We talked about El Cucuy is in prime El Cucuy fashion. South Lake Carroll has been, it's the interesting part is they've just been a quiet,
Mm-hmm.
dominant 19-0-1, right? So pretty interesting there. Smithson Valley, I'm on record as saying I firmly believe this is Jason Atkins' most complete team he's ever had there in his 20, I think he's pushing 23, 24 years at Smithson Valley. Might be a little bit more. Don't want to date you there, coach, sorry. And then Lucas Lovejoy, a team that I got to see early in the season up close and personal, and I knew they were good. I just didn't know they would be good to the point to where they would have 2 monster district wins over a team that I knew was for real in Walnut Grove. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and here they are at 20-0, so, and sitting at the top of their district. And then Salina at number 5, the 4-time reigning state champion, looking to make it on their swan song as they head up to 5A, trying to get one for the thumb, as you said. So, all right, coach, you're going to take us through our next 5 in number 6, Forney, number 7, Salado, number 8, Humble Kingwood, number 9, Life Waxahachie, and number 10, Harlingen.
So we go to number 6, Forney. A great season for them. I think it's kind of like a mirror image of we seen with teams in their district, like what Wiley East did couple years ago. I think it's the same thing with them with Forney. I think they're now establishing a really good program there. So that's a team that really keep an eye on the playoffs to see how deep they can go, and they may surprising people. Um, we'll see what they can do, and could they get a possibility to get to Georgetown. Number 7, we had the pleasure to watch on Tuesday, Salado, another great team. Like I said, I think they want trying to build off what they did last year, kind of falling short. I think they'll be in the mix again. Uh, a team out in the Houston area that really it's more really the boys that get kind of more of the of the buzz, but now the girls here for Kingwood have been phenomenal this year, and I know
Right.
they had a. I know they're in the tough district with Atacosita. That, like I said, they're going toe to toe. Like I said, I had them in the RPI the last time, but like I said, they got a couple wins over them, and like I said, they kind of like I said here. There's a team to kind of keep an eye on in Region 3. Live Waxahachie, what can you say about them? Just a consistent program. They're just dominating. The key is, can they get over the hump? I know last year they fell short. They lost to Salina. Is this the year that maybe kind of throw that monkey wrench and take that next step and finally get to Georgetown? And then the surprise in the Valley, Harlingen, they're just taking care of business, still undefeated. They got a couple signature wins. That's a team that kind of I would really keep an eye on. They probably could upset a couple teams, maybe even in that third round game that I wouldn't take too lightly.
Right, right. So we look at our next 5 here. So Forney, it's a team that I really love watching play. If you haven't seen them play, their style of play, they're fun to watch. They play with, I mean, they're fast, they're quick, they connect passes, they build quickly, they can counter on you quickly, and they're just electrifying. They're fun to watch. I like watching them play. So coming in at number 6, Salado, you talked about the Blitzkrieg already. Kingwood, yeah, seeing the girls' side getting more coverage, more of a push. So happy to see that. Wax is I don't know, the Jason Voorhees of the group over the
Hmm.
last couple of years in the RPI. They don't go away, man. They don't go away. So yeah, they've built a great 4A program there at Life Waxahachie. And then I kind of get the feeling right with Harlingen that yes, the surprise, but no at the same time, because similar to a team that we're going to talk about next and in our next 5, right, 11 through 15, this has kind of been building. They've been getting momentum as a program, right? So seeing them here, 16-0 at number 10 in the latest edition of the RPI, Harlingen, not surprised whatsoever. Look for them to make some noise in the state playoffs as well. So Now, how they respond, being so dominant in a district that is largely untested, them right, that will be the key piece, right? But yes, that is a very talented group nonetheless. All right, so our next five: 11 Wimberley, 12 Coppell, number 13 Prosper Walnut Grove, 14 Vandegrift, and 15 McAllen Memorial. Coach, take it away.
So number 11, I have Wimberley. Like I said, they're currently in first place in 26 4A. Big wins over Davenport already, kind of swept them during the season. They had a big win over a really dangerous Canyon Lake team, which they'll face again. I think they host them in about a week or so. Um, I know Steve was mentioned to me he did get to see them. Very dominant team, especially up front. They have a really tall forward that's really a difference maker. And I think the key for them is a game coming up against Canyon Lake. If they split that, if they lose to Canyon Lake, that could change the brackets. And I know if anyone watches there, so the roundtable show, we did a kind of little mock, uh, bracketology. Whoever finishes second place in that D2 bracket, is going to face a very tough team out of 25 4A, which could be would be like a regional final. So, but I think Wimberley, I think they still have too much. I think they'll go through, and I think they'll probably be one of the favorites to get back to the state title again. Then Coppell, like I said, year in, year out, they're, like I said, always in the mix. Uh, Prosper Walnut Grove, even though that was a couple losses with Lucas Lovejoy, but still a dangerous team going into the playoffs. Um, Vandegrift, another great program from the Austin area. Got to see meet their coach back on Wednesday, on Thursday there at a college fair there at Cedar Park there at the Austin's first game. So we talked a little bit about the season. It's, like I said, it's been a tough road in that district. It's always, like I said, very, very tough teams, especially with Round Rock and Westwood and so forth. But so far, like I said, first place. And then another team from the Valley it's already kind of created. It's not saying creating a buzz, but they've been consistent the last 3 years, and kind of almost similar to Harlingen is McAllen Memorial. Like I said, recently they're taking care of business against McAllen High, who's in their district. We'll see what they can do this year. They kind of get to that third round, kind of falter there. Is this the year that they, knock off that team with one of the Austin area teams, San Antonio teams, to get to that regional final this year?
Right, right, yeah. And Wimberley, what's the date? Did you see the date on that Wimberley Canyon Lake
I
match?
believe that game, it might be on the 10th
I was
of,
gonna say, I know it's next week. I just didn't know if it was
yeah.
Monday, Tuesday. So, and of course, what will complicate matches next week is you're gonna have a cross combination of schools already in spring break, some schools not on spring break. It just kind of depends
Okay.
on what what part of the state you're in, I guess. So,
Mhm.
and then you'll also have teams playing against each other to finish up district play, where one team may be on spring break and the other isn't, right? So it just further complicates. That's the life of Texas high school soccer, Texas high school soccer.
So
But
they
go
do
ahead.
play actually this Tuesday night at Wimberley
Oh, that's
at
this week. I
7
thought it
p.m.
was
Is it?
next Tuesday. So
Yeah.
it's
So
this
no,
Tuesday.
yeah. So they
Okay.
have Wimberley. They have Canyon. They host Canyon Lake 7 p.m. And
Okay.
then after that, they just have Bandera and Long Creek. So this is probably be determining that district title. I
Yeah.
mean, they may if Canyon Lake wins and then they win out. I know Canyon Lake still has to play Davenport, but if they do win out, we'll probably have a split district title, and they may have to play against each other for seeding when it comes to the Division Two bracket.
So somebody's playing next Tuesday. Then I thought it might be what Wimberley or Canyon Lake Davenport. It might be one of those other teams then. But somebody's playing next Tuesday, and I was thinking it was Wimberley Canyon Lake. But
Yeah, it's them two. Yeah, on the third. Yeah, they play
okay.
next on the third. So,
Okay.
I know Davenport still has, I can believe, they have Marble Falls, so they do have a game at Canyon Lake on March the 13th. So that's key for for Canyon Lake. If they
Okay.
get a win at Wimberley, like I said, and then win out, and they can beat Davenport, they'll split that district title with them. And more likely, I think they're gonna have to play kind of like a seeding game. So who
Yeah.
gets the first top seed? And the key on that game is whoever loses that, whoever finishes second is going to have to play a very tough Liberty Hill Ranch, I believe. Let
Legacy
me scroll.
Ranch, is it? Is that
Legacy,
what
yeah,
you're
the
on?
Legacy Ranch team
Legacy Ranch. Yeah.
that's
I
been
always forget the name.
dominating, yeah, dominating 25 4A. So
Right.
that's what's at stake on for Tuesday night.
Yeah. Yeah, gotcha. So at number 12, Capel comes in, the reigning state champions. Walnut Grove, don't bury them yet. Just, I mean, they lost to an exceptional Lovejoy team twice. That's it. Those are their only blemishes. So that's saying an awful lot about Walnut Grove. Vandergrift just kind of trucking along, right? You know, Coach Sawyer's got him doing great stuff.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, McAllen Memorial is exactly the squad I was talking about when I was talking about Harlingen. Is, McAllen Memorial, they were the real surprise that jumped on the scene about 2 years ago, and they haven't gone anywhere over the last couple of years. So they're building something great down in McAllen. So kudos to them. Typically, it was Mac High that gets
Mhm.
all the attention, but Memorial has not gone anywhere. So great to see them coming in at 15. All right, and then our next five in, we have Cedar Park at 1, Saxe at 2, Amarillo coming in. Hey, somebody comes in from the Plains Panhandle. That's awesome. So Katie Tompkins at 4, and then we have South Grand Prairie at number 5. Coach.
So Cedar Park, like I said, I have them here in my next five. Defending state champion. Little rough start, but they've bounced back. Now they're back in control of their district, and like I said, they should win District 25 5A. Um, Garland Sasky, year in year out, you hear about them, but now they've really kind of turned it up a notch and kind of flew under the radar kind of this season, and now they're starting to kind of make some noise. Keep an eye on them, especially they're in Region Two. Um, Amarillo, like I said, Region One. Could this be? Like I said, they've done some deep runs. Is this the year that they finally knock off that Dallas area team and get to the state semifinals and or on to the final? Kind of what County Randall did last year. I think they have a good chance to do it. Katie Tompkins, Seven Lakes gets the attention in that district, but this year it's Katie Tompkins is dominating. They're in first place. I think they could be the favorite for they're in Region Three, and the surprise out of the Metroplex area is South Grand Prairie. Just a phenomenal season, for them, and keep an eye on them. They could be a dark horse going into the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, well said. So a great 5. Great to see Amarillo in there. Love seeing that. Saxe, of course, not going anywhere. Cedar Park being in the next 5 in versus in the top 15. Obviously, it doesn't looks a little odd as a defending state champion, but I know Coach Poole held him on the right
Mhm.
track, and great to see Katie Tompkins and Coach Jerry Shipman having the great success that they've been having this year. So that is going to do it for our boys, our girl side, I should say. Sorry, we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna shift gears here. We're gonna shift gears here over to the boys side now for our RPI. Again, as of today's date, March 1st, and with our first 5 in Walnut Grove, who's been at the time, they've been leading like so far, right? Start to this point. Katy Seven Lakes at number 2, Bridgeland at my big group that I'm big on. Bridgeland at number 3, Salado at number 4, and Dallas Jesuit at number 5. Coach.
So what are you going to say about the defending state champs, Walnut Grove? They've just been dominant, and they're pretty much the clear favorite again to repeat. Um, they just, like I said, we'll see who can kind of challenge them in the playoffs. Like I said, I know they have a target on the back, but like I said, they're in their own phase that they still look hungry to win another one. And I know last year's team was a young team. This year, with all that experience they got for winning it, they know what it takes. Through the adversity and so forth, and like I said, they had a legitimate shot. Katie Seven Lakes is bouncing back. Kind of disappointing season last year, but this year they kind of got it back together, and they want to kind of get back and back to the top there in Region Three. Bridgeland, another excellent season for them. I know the girls team usually kind of gets the accolades, but the boys are doing great. Number 4, like I said, another team I watched on Tuesday, the Salado boys defending 40 state champs. Um, Doing what they need to do. They look solid. Very physical team. Like I said, we'll see what they do. And then another Dallas Jesuit. Year in, year out. They're always in the mix. Gonna can give you some problems. In the playoffs. Like I said, they have a lot of talent there so far, undefeated. That's a team to keep an eye on that could maybe surprise some teams, in the 6A playoffs.
Right. Great group here. And yeah, Walnut Grove has been exceptional this year. We knew it when we saw them win state last year, and they were so young, right? So you knew they weren't going anywhere. Jimmy Kruger leading his Spartans, Katy 7 Lake Spartans. Although they did suffer their first defeat this past week, Coach Rafa's got him in there holding steady at number 2. I know he'll right the ship. This is a very, very talented squad. Bridgeland, that's my group, right? That I've been kind of banging the drum for all year. So happy to see them there at number 3. And then we transition over to our next 5 here, Coach. And El Cucuy at Frisco Wakeland at number 6. San Antonio Southwest coming in at number 7. Kilgore at number 8. Edinburgh Economides at number 9. And West Mesquite representing 5A coming in at 10.
So 6, like I said, Okokoy there, getting back at it as usual. I mean, undefeated season so far. Like I said, they want to kind of get back with kind of a little disappointment from last year. Then you have San Antonio Southwest, which early on, they were challenged, and now they're starting to find their groove now. They're getting momentum. They're winning some big games. They're starting to kind of, they have played some really close ones. They have been challenged, but now I can see now they're kind of getting things together. So they're moving forward, and like I said, they'll be another favorite for Region 4 in 5A for D1. Number 8 is Kilgore out in East Texas, and I know Palestine gets a lot of the kind of the attention there, but this year, like I said, Kilgore's been doing it back-to-back years, so I think maybe this is the year they break through. Number 9 is Edinburgh Economides. I think they've been so far the best 6A team there in the Valley. I know last year they had a great run. I think they could be surprising some teams, coming here in the playoffs. And the number 10, West Mesquite, just a great season for them. So far undefeated. Just a team to watch, especially when the playoffs starts.
Yeah, great. And in case you're counting that, that's a grand total of I think five losses in the RPI top 10. Total of 5 losses. So that's pretty amazing. So. All right, we transition to our final 5 in the RPI, the top 15. We have Austin Westlake at 11, Allen, biggest school in the state of Texas, Allen coming in at 12, Round Rock Westwood coming in at 13, Waco La Vega at 14, and Klein Oak at 15. Coach.
So Austin Westlake, like I said, they're back in the mix. Like I said, I know last year, disappointing year. This year, like I said, they're got a hold on their district right now in 26 6A. I know they're kind of finding enough challenges from Bowie, like Travis, and also like I said, Dripping Springs. So and also Del Valley. So like I said, they should be able to clinch that district title. Allen, this year, like I said, they kind of I don't say a little fallen a little, and I say just kind of been kind of quiet, but slowly they've been chugging along. And right now, like I said, they're playing their best soccer right now, and they have a good chance to see. We'll see how far they can go. This year, last year they kind of fell short. We thought maybe they go a lot deeper, maybe get to Georgetown. Maybe this year they kind of learn some of that what they kind of couldn't do last year. They can get it together this year. Round Westwood's a team to kind of keep an eye on. I think they're going to be a very dangerous team. And I think they give up a lot of matchup problems, especially playing that rough 25 6A. Waco La Vega, another a 4A to really keep an eye on. I think they got something cooking there, and I think they're gonna put some teams on notices going into the playoffs. And then Klein Oak, dominating, like I said, in control of 6A. I know with the defending state champs with Colin Kane, kind of struggling a little bit, but like I said, Klein Oaks kind of like I said in first place, and then have firm control, for the district title.
Great. Excuse me. Great stuff. Yeah, it's good to see Austin Westlake back in here, right? It seems like it's been a minute. So, yeah, Allen coming along steadily and seeing the Westwood boys who had been a little bit kind of, again, also kind of similar to Westlake, right? A little dormant. So good to see them back in. But yeah, so all right, we move on to so that does it for our top 15 in the RPI. Now we're going to transition to our next 5 in, right? Those top 5 teams that are knocking on the door trying to break into the top 15 in the RPI. And those 1 through 5, they are South Lake Carroll at 1, Houston Memorial at 2, San Antonio Lee at 3, Brookshire Royal at 4, and Grapevine at 5. Coach.
So Salt Lake Carroll, like I said, I had them in the top 15 the last time, but a couple of ties, that's kind of set that back. But still, Still a great team. I think they'll still some good things in going into the playoffs. It's just about getting together. Moving forward. Once it's a playoff start. Houston Memorial is another team to kind of keep an eye on. Just one loss. Just a couple of ties on the district play, but I think they have a very talented squad that can go deep. The team to keep an eye on, especially here in region for 6A Region 4, is San Antonio Lee. I think they're ahead of schedule. I think 1 year ahead of schedule from what this is going to be a very dangerous team, and they're going to give a lot of matchup problems. I've already seen them play a couple times. Um, they hustle the ball. They make you work. Great goalkeeping. Um, I think this is a very talented team by Coach Rogers. This is, like I said, I think they're a little ahead of schedule. We'll see how. Like I said, I think they got a big game coming up against Johnson. I think if they can knock them off, pretty much, I think they end up clinching the
I
district
think
title.
that should seal the district title,
Yeah,
shouldn't it?
that should, because they knocked off Reagan. They beat them 4-1 on Friday. So I
Right.
think a win over Johnson pretty much seals the deal for the district title for them. And then another team that's kind of been, they were kind of on the brink, maybe cracking into the next five, is Berkshire Royal. They very good season for them.
Yeah,
I
they've been
know
solid. They've been
they've
very
been
solid.
yes, very solid, and that's a team they really keep an eye on in region, like I said, in Region 3. I know last year we had El Campo. Like I said, you also have like Lumberton and all that, but this is a team that could be very dangerous going in. And then I know the girls team kind of gets especially what they did last year, but the boys, the Grapevine boys, are great season so far at 17-2-2. That could be this could be another one of those dark horse teams. Could throw a lot of, knock off some teams in the playoffs, kind of like what the girls did last year.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can't compare them to the girls' record from last year. Come on, they're 17-2-2, man. Last year, do
Mhm.
you remember what the Grapevine girls' record was last year
I
going into
think
the
they had like
playoffs?
8, 9 losses or
It
something like
was,
that.
yeah,
You know.
it was shocking. Like we had to
Hmm.
double check that because we didn't believe it. But yeah, but then we also believed everything that they did
Hmm.
on their state
Schedule.
playoff run as well. So yeah, great group here. South Lake Carroll. South Lake Carroll's kind of yo-yoed in top 15, next five in, kind of back and forth a little bit here. So good to see them, Coach Padilla, getting them there at one in the next five in. Um, San Antonio, you talked about San Antonio Lee, right? As they head into the playoffs, right? So district title or not, right? That they're going to be one tough out. Yes, they're young, as you said, but with an exceptional goalkeeper and Caleb Gomez between the
Hmm.
pipes, they're going to be in games. They're going to have chances, right? So it's just going to come down to execution. But yeah, excited to see that. Brookshire Royal, a team that just seems like a fun group to watch, right? As well. So, and they've been solid. And yep, we talked about Grapevine as well. That is going to do it for our RPI as of today's date, March 1st, 2026. Any reattacks, Coach? Anything else you got on here?
I know, like I said, I know the girls list is always tough because I have probably close to 30 teams contending. Boys, like I said, I think from my list out of here, and I probably, like I said, I get the best 30, 35 teams, and I kind of make the list out of that, and some of the teams are that you probably see in the next kind of segment would probably be contenders for the next
Yeah.
five in, or, and the next five in. So for both the boys and the girls.
Right. Gotcha. So that is going to do it. We're going to transition now to our next group here, though, the debut of the Texas Sizzlin 7, right? So here they are. So a little different in this one and what we're doing. So the Sizzlin 7 here. So I wanted to call it the disrespected seven, right? Because Rafa wouldn't give them enough love, right? Just kidding. No, so this is some of the hottest teams across the state of Texas on the boy side and the girl side, regardless of classification, regardless of district. That they're playing some of their best soccer at the best time of the year. So we wanted to give them some love, some shout outs, because these are some teams that could be next future RPI. They could be knocking on the door, right? So, Coach, take us away. Take it away. Break down our first three for us here.
So yeah, so I was kind of scoping around, like I said, the teams and so forth, and Jacksonville's been one that, in the past they had, some success, but I think this year might be different for them. And right now they're at 16-1. They're kind of going through, blowing, sizzling in their district play and taking care of business. Um, So I think that's a team, like I said, team to really keep an eye on, and they're over there in their region. Number two, I have Medina Valley. So probably their best season they've had this year. So far undefeated, dominating 36A. I know they have a big game coming up at Del Rio. I think they're. I think they've already clinched district championship, but like I said, I know they got one more.
Yeah,
Uh,
they clinched. They locked up the
mhm.
district title on
So
Friday. So
so basically, they're kind of playing for see if they can finish undefeated for the regular season. I'm sure though they should have no problem doing that. Another team out in East Texas is a keep an eye is Vider. I know they're actually in the same district with Lumberton, and Lumberton's been one of the dominant teams for the girls, but this year Vider's been has been solid. And uh, could they be the ones that kind of dethrone? Like I said, I'm sure they're going to dethrone Lumberton for the district title. Could they be the ones that win the region and end up seeing them in Georgetown?
yeah,
Number four, a team that I've watched quite a few times is the Santori Warren Lady Warriors. They are a very high octane team. They will make you work and they will wear you out. They lose the ball, they get it back in 3 seconds, and they just they
yeah.
don't. They're
Now,
relentless.
where are they at as far as
I
district
think
standings, coach? Because then it's a three-way tie for
it's
first pending
I
a result this week, right?
Yeah, it's been depending on it. So that district's very tight, and that was kind of hard to pick one of those districts, and which we'll talk about. That was kind of like a tie for one of them. But District 28 6A's, I think of an upcoming result could turn the thing. Like I said, one result from this past week was that when Taft tied Sotomayor, so that kind of opened the door for which is O'Connor, another good
O'Connor.
team,
Yeah,
for to possibly end up, depending on the results, we could see a three-way tie for the district title, kind of something we saw a couple years ago because we had kind of the same scenario with Brennan, O'Connor, and Taft. So it's been a tight race this year. But Warren, I can tell you this: whoever they face in the playoffs, you better eat your Wheaties and you better be in good shape because they will wear you out. They're very deep in the bench. They just they just come after you. They're a very relentless team. So just keep an eye on them. Another team that's kind of flown on the radar, and I'm like possibly putting them into maybe the next time is Madisonville, and that's a team that could maybe surprise some teams going into the playoffs. Another team kind of towards is Wichita Falls Memorial. Just a couple years young. I know after the merger from the schools over there, but they're having an excellent season. And then up in Northeast Texas, Sulphur Springs. I know the boys have had kind of a lot of the talk in the last few years, but the girls teams they're having a phenomenal year. I know they started a little slow, but they've been on a hot streak ever since, and it's
yeah.
going into the district play.
Great group here. Great, and yeah, you talked about. So Jacksonville has been. I feel like they've been relatively consistent. Kind of dropped
Mhm.
off a little bit last year, but having some success. Medina Valley having a exceptional season. Viter looks like one of we talked about some of those, right? The just a very fun, high energy team to watch, right? Warren, I've yet to have a chance to see Warren play yet, but have heard many great things. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what some of these teams do over the course of the next 2 weeks and finish out their district. So that is going to do it for the girls Texas Sizzling 7. And now we switch gears over to the boys side. Again, highlighting some of the 7 of the hottest teams across the state of Texas right now, regardless of classification, regardless of district. Coach, take it away.
So number one, like I said, I have one at Fort Bend Clements. And in the past, they've been, like I said, they've had some success in the past. They've gone deep, some state semifinal, final appearances. But this year, they're getting it together, and they could be a surprise, going in, and I think they may have a squad that can barely go maybe two, maybe three, four deep. Another team that's kind of flown onto the radar is Houston Springwoods. I think they have a lot of
Yeah.
talent
Yes, I
this
agree.
year,
I agree.
and you know they're gonna give up a lot of matchup problems, whoever they face in the playoffs, and I will not take them lightly. So we'll see what they'll do in these coming weeks. La Jolla Palmview, I know the Brownsville teams get a lot of especially in the 5A, they get a lot of the attention. You're talking like the Porters and the Lopez, and maybe but I mean the Sherrylands, but this is a team that could, and especially Juarez Lincoln too, which is their sister school. Normally they've been the dominant team in that district, but this year Palmview's been kind of putting it together, quality wins. It's like I said, they're in that real tough district, and I think they may surprise some teams going in. And then on another Valley team, I mentioned about Sherryland. Well, the sister school, Sherryland Pioneer, this is an excellent season so far. I think they've swept already their sister school. They're inching closer to winning the district title, and that's a team that could really keep an eye on. And then I have Alito. I know they're known for football for all the state championships. Now some more for soccer, but this year could be different. They could bring a soccer title in 5A, and before, like I said, next year they'll be moving up to 6A. But Alito's been a solid team. Number 6 is Nevada Community. Last year they made it to the I believe to the regional
I think
semifinal.
it was
No,
just third. I think it
state
was
semifinals last
it
year.
state semifinal? I thought it was
Yeah,
regional
yeah,
final.
because I met one of their scouts last year at that game that was never played, and so we had a conversation with them. And so far, like I said, they're back at it again, and I think they could do a repeat performance. And the only thing is, can they get win that state semifinal game and get back, get to Georgetown? And then Jesse mentioned about this team, El Paso Coronado, 21-2.
Right.
Um, could they be the one that goes far and challenges some of the Dallas area teams? And I know they have some. There could be a tough matchup in that first round game which is 2-6A. We'll see who they end up playing. Could it be like a San Angelo Central or Friendship, like I said, or maybe a really good premium team who I actually got to see the boys play too as well, and a good Odessa High too. So we'll see what they can do, and maybe they'll could see them in the third, possibly in the third round game.
Yeah. Awesome. Great stuff. A great 7 here. So an interesting on those boys side. This looks like a very eclectic,
Hmm.
interesting group, kind of all over the place, right? I like that. That's awesome. Good to you hit on some great points here. We talked about Spring. That's a typo there. Houston Spring Woods, right? Should be. I feel like is one of the most not talked about 17-1
Hmm.
teams in the state. Definitely across 5A. La Jolla Palmview, Sherlin Pioneer, and then I mean Alito. There's a lot of weight that comes with the name we talked about, but Nevada Community. We just talked about another program that is just built on solid consistency. So good to see them. Good to see them in here again. This is the Texas Sizzling 7, a new segment where we want to highlight some of the hottest teams across the state of Texas, regardless of classification, regardless of district. So well done on these, Rafa. Good stuff. And yeah, I mean, kind of kind of a I don't know, kind of a mixed, interesting mixed group here. We talked about both on the boys and girls side, so very cool to watch. Um, but yeah, so that does it for both our RPI as of today's date, March 1st, 2026, as well as the inaugural Texas Sizzling 7. Maybe look to continue that as we head into the bracketology days, or maybe the dark horse list. Dark horse, we haven't
Maybe an update, maybe
introduced
an
before.
updated one, because there might
Yeah,
be there's I can tell you this from doing the list. There are some other teams out there to kind of keep an
mhm,
eye on, and
yeah,
it's like I said, out of those 7, like I said, I think there was probably a good another 3 or 4 teams that could have been on it, but
yeah,
just
yeah.
those could be on the dark horse going into the playoffs.
Right. Yeah. Don't sleep on 29-6A. I'm just saying, just putting that out there. Just putting that out there. But yeah, we're gonna talk districts a lot more in a minute. We're gonna do our district spotlight where Rafa's gonna break us down. We're gonna look at 3 districts on the boys' side, 3 districts on the girls' side as we wrap up here to talk about highlighting some district races, some key games down the stretch over the course of the final 2 weeks of the season. And for the most part, for many districts across the state of Texas, this will be the final full week of district play, right? You'll have some teams wrapping up maybe Monday, Tuesday of next week, and then some of our larger districts probably wrapping up tail end of next week prior to the start of, or I should say, prior to district certification the following week. So, all right, Rafa, well done. Great job. Want to give a shout out to some more of our area listeners. So, currently being listened to out in Houston, Beaumont, Laredo, McAllen, Brownsville, down the valley, Brownsville, Victoria, Frisco, as well as Fort Worth, as well as the great city of Abilene. Really appreciate you guys listening. Thank you for listening. Again, your comments. Make sure you got questions, comments, anything. Share those away on here as well. But don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after a quick word from our partners. In the market for a new home, or maybe you'd just like to get more information? Then let us tell you about our new proud partner and title sponsor, Jeanette Spain at TexasVeteranRealtor.com, your go-to realtor for military and veteran families in Central Texas. With her Cover and Move I've Got Your Six approach, you focus on the move while she handles the contracts, the deadlines, and even the details. Want a realtor who works like you and fights for you? Then you need to visit Jeanette Spain at TexasVeteranRealtor.com for your free no-pressure strategy session. Again, that's Jeanette Spain at TexasVeteranRealtor.com, as well as at 737-210-5812. And then there are our great friends at Gipper. Gipper is a way that schools, athletic departments, ADs, and coaches create world-class marketing content. Join over 4,000 coaches and ADs and use Gipper to create high-quality, visual branded graphics for your program. The best part, anyone can do it in seconds on any device without needing any design experience whatsoever. If you do have significant experience in this process, then this is designed for you as well, as you are what they call the power user. Listeners of the 50/50 podcast can now receive 10% off any first-time Gipper purchase. Simply visit gipper.com/partner/5050 to learn more. Again, that's gipper.com/partner/5050 to learn more. All right, and we are back again. It is episode 7 of Inside Texas High School Soccer. Rafa, thoughts so far on everything we've covered from Jesse Tovar to the RPI to the Texas Sizzlin 7? Anything? Oh, you might be muted, buddy.
Some teams are you can notice some teams are starting to get hot towards the end of the season, and and that's kind of like the right time to kind of peak.
Yeah.
Going into the playoffs and so forth. But we have some teams that kind of have taken some losses that they shouldn't be in. There's some key races that a point or two can cost, get you off, not keep you in and out of the playoffs, or maybe even bump you out of from Division 1 to Division 2, or vice
Right.
versa. So,
And that's the big one. That's the tricky one, right? Is that more so than, hey, we win a district title or we can't win a district title, but hey, do certain results land us in D1 or D2, which could be advantageous or disadvantageous to us, right? So that's the trickier one. I feel that maybe doesn't get. I mean, coaches are definitely looking at that closely, but whether it be the media, whether it be parents, whether it be student athletes, right? Do they have that full awareness?
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha. All right, so final segment, Coach. The district spotlight here. We're going to start with our girls here. So take it away. Tell us. So you're going to give us kind of the meat potatoes of these three. We're starting with District 3-4A. Go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, so District 3-4A, which is up in the kind of like the Panhandle area, which actually has defending state champion Canyon Randall for the girls' side. It's been a very tight race this year. The surprise of this year, as far as the district title going, I said, hasn't been clinched yet, but it's been the Borgard Lady Bulldogs, and they have a good shot of winning the first ever district title over West Plains and Canyon Randall, which is, like I said, Borgard's kind of a game ahead of West Plains.
That would be a massive statement.
Mm-hmm. And especially with this year, it could maybe be this year's Randall, going into the playoffs. And but it's a notch. It's a hats off to that program. Because year in year out, you see, West Plains and Canyon kind of been the two that's been dominating that district. Year in year out, but Borgard's kind of gotten it together. And this year, like I said, they're doing a excellent job, and like I said, it's going to come down to the wire. Like I said, they still have some games coming up. We'll see how how it ends up with them actually clinching the state title.
Gotcha. So, and we transition over to our number 2 district you want to discuss in District 6-5A.
So District 6-5A, out of Region 1-2, very competitive. you got 4 quality teams this year. You have your Carlville Heritage, your year in, year out. We always talk about them. Same thing with Grapevine, last year that crazy record, and then they went up, made that deep run. But this year, the surprise has been a Birdville, and Birdville, I had them close to being part of that Sizzling Seven, but that they're about to, like I said, just a couple points away from maybe clinching it. I know Grapevine and Colleyville is still within range as far as getting to that second place spot, and then Argyle's in the mix too, in the playoff hunt. So those 4 teams are kind of battling out who ends up winning the district title. But right now, Birdville, in control, and looks like they're about to clinch that the district.
Yeah, great stuff. And then at then at number 3, District 27-6A.
So this one's in my backyard here, and this year it's been kind of like I mentioned about like 28-6A for the girls, kind of the mirror image of it too. You have 3 teams battling it out for a half a game pretty much separates first place, and the surprise this year has been the Clark Lady Cougars, and
Yeah, they're in
uh,
first. I think
they're
they're
in
sitting
first
all
place.
alone in
Yeah,
first
they're in
right now.
first.
Yeah,
Though
yeah.
they have a 9-1-1 record. Same thing with Reagan, 9-1-1, and then Lady Bird Johnson, they're at 8-1-2. So like I said, just a half game off.
Mhm.
And but hats off to Coach Riggers, on an excellent season with the Lady Cougars, and that's another team that could be a dark horse going into the playoffs. This year, like I said, I have seen the Lady Rattlers play. That they're an excellent team too. And then the 4th place spot is still kind of up for grabs, between Lee and Brandeis. So they're kind of battling out on that one, and we'll see who ends up getting that in that last spot. But we could literally see a 3-team tie for the district title. But it's going to come down to the last couple games. I know with Clark coming up, just to kind of give you a heads up on their schedule, they do have matchup with Roosevelt, which they should have no problem winning that game. And then the big one against Reagan. If they can beat Reagan, they'll clinch the district title. Reagan, like I said, they just recently played um, a really good league team. Took care of business there. They got a little tricky game against Churchill, and then they have Clark. I mentioned on March 7th, and then they finished the season with Brandeis, Brandeis is fighting for their playoff lives there. So they're going to be kind of gunning for Reagan there, and then Johnson, 1 game left, which is on March 6th against Churchill, and it's for them. It's going to basically it's going to be a wait and see how things turn out as far as who ends up winning this scrub. But right now, Clark has the driver's seat when it comes to
Yeah, they're in the driver's seat. Yeah. Yeah.
so.
Yeah, and I would say the thing about that district right now, if I remember correctly, I'm trying to remember my standings here, my table in that district, but I think it's teams 1, 2, and 3 are in play for the district title, and then you
Mhm.
have teams I think 4, 5, and 6 still in play
Or
for
fourth,
really that
the fourth
last
spot.
playoff spot, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's crazy. That's tight. So
Yep.
of these 3, which one do you think most chaotic? Do you go with 27-6 over the next
Yeah,
week and a half? Do you go with them?
yeah, that one, like I said, the key game is going to be the Clark and Reagan, in which the last time Clark won, I think 1-0. I think off of
And
an
that's
own.
slated for when? That's slated for is that Friday?
2 weeks from now, because Clark just still has Tuesday, I think Roosevelt, and then they play next Friday. That's going to be the
Next
key
end
game.
of next week. Okay.
And which also, so the weather's going to be could be a factor in the game too, because like I said, we're expecting rain here in the San Antonio area starting on I think Wednesday all the way through Saturday and
Mhm.
Sunday. So that could be a key on there if they play at yeah, we'll see if they play at Comalander or they play in the grass fields there at back. They play at back, that could be a factor there, because it
Yeah.
could become a slot fest there, and
Yeah.
you know balls can go different ways. So we'll see. But
Right.
like I said,
Right.
but I think the surprise one would be, as far as all of the 3, would be District 3-4A with Borger. Is
3-4A with Borger. Yeah,
it's
that
just a
that would be the
dream
big.
season for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is saying a lot against potentially taking over that district
Mhm.
over a reigning state champion as well as West Plains, right? 2
Yeah, yeah.
very, very strong programs.
I'm
So,
sure. I'm sure Kevin has a lot to say. Like I said, next time maybe we could catch up with him.
mm,
I'm sure a lot to say about the burger program this year. I'm sure he didn't even have him on the radar,
yeah,
because I know he probably had West Plains and Canyon Randall battling it out,
yeah,
But I think that was the last thing he thought maybe it would challenge those two for the district title.
yeah. Well, Burger didn't even make your Sizzlin 7, man. What are you
Mm-mm.
talking about? We gotta
Yeah, I
gotta
mean,
give
there
you
were
some grief.
some. Yeah, they were like they're right in the. I mean, if they had a sleazy Nate, maybe we need to do like the Dirty Dozen or something. Maybe
The
we could.
dirty dozen. Listen to you. Oh my God. All right. So that is going to do it for our district spotlight on the women's side. We're going to move over and highlight the men, the boys here. So three districts, again, similar to the girls. So district, we're going to start with our first one, District 25 4A. Rafa.
So tough, really tough district this year. Well, this has a defending state champion Austin Achieve, and so far they've been kind of faltering right now. They're in fourth place, and right now the team that's in first place is Northeast College. But the two surprises out of this district has been Austin LBJ and Gerald. Uh, Gerald wasn't even in the radar this year as far as being a contender. I thought maybe this year probably, like I said, I knew like Northeast Lakes would probably be challenging Achieve for the district title. Maybe I thought maybe Lago Vista. I think after a positive season last year, maybe burn it, but um, like I said, it's right now Northeast Lakes is just about a half, kind of a game and a half ahead of Austin LBJ for the district title. Austin Chiefs is in dangerous zone of not making the playoffs. Lago Vista's kind of hot on their trail. Like I said, their Austin Chief has I'm trying to think, 18, they had 20 points. So they're only a couple points ahead of Lago Vista. So it's going to come down to the last few games for them. Um, I know for Austin the Chief, they're as far as district remaining games, they got three. They got one. They have Florence, which they should win that one. But the key is going to be here on the March 6th at Lago Vista. If Lago Vista can get a win, now that puts Lago Vista in the driver's seat for that last playoff spot. So we'll see how that goes for them. And then also when it comes to the district title, it's between, like I said, Northeast Lakeview and Austin LBJ are kind of finding that out.
Yeah.
And then Northeast Lakeview, like I said, they still have a couple of games. They have the district title games is going to be on March 7th. Northeast Lakeview at Austin LBJ. Weird time. They're playing at 10:45 a.m. So a
Oh,
morning
yeah.
game.
I remember
So
Coach. I remember Coach talking about that, right? Those weird
yeah.
early morning Saturday matches. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know who scheduled that game, and like I said, weather's
Somebody
going to
that
be a
wants to go on spring
factor.
break, that's who
I,
scheduled it.
I guess so.
Yeah,
But for them, like I said, so make sure you're not going out. Got the 6th Street that on Friday night. So, but
yeah, yeah,
or hanging out with the compadres and all that. But like I said,
right.
that's going to be like I said, that's probably going to be for the district title. For both teams, and it should be a good one there.
Yeah.
But like I said,
Lots of drama in 25-4A. It's
yeah,
exciting.
two key games coming. Two key games, one for the district title and one for the last part of
Yeah,
the playoffs.
yeah, yeah. It's the promotion relegation battle, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we move on. Our second district we want to highlight here, 19-5A. Looking at 5A here on the boys' side. 19-5A, Coach, take it away.
So you have one of the buddies there uh, from the show, Baytown Sterling, currently in first place. In district play with with 27 points, but like I said, hot on their trail at by a game is Beaumont Westbrook, but then they still have another.
I'm told by our information news team that it's the blue blazer. Ever since Coach Heyman started wearing the blue blazer to matches, that they're on the win streak. So and currently sitting in first place. So just saying, just saying.
He's gonna probably have to wear that all the way to the state to the state title.
He probably sleeps in it. Knowing him, he
Uh,
probably sleeps in it.
make sure he gets it blessed and all that. Have the candles around, but it's still a tight race too because they have Barber still hot, still hot on their trail, and then even Port Neches Grove is still within striking range. So I think it's going to come down to
They
the.
just recently had a big win over PNG.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say either early last week or if not the Friday
Yeah,
before.
on
Yeah,
the 24th, yeah, they had a 1-0 win, and then they had a 2-0 win against Netherland. But the big one is going to be Tuesday night. They host Beaumont Westbrook. If they can get a win here, they could pretty much get a foot into the district title. So key game for them. Beaumont Westbrook, like I said, maybe they have some other plans. If they get a win, they got the control. I know they got a game against
Mhm.
still remaining Arthur Memorial. Port
And
Neches
I
girls.
tease him a lot. I tease him a lot. You're right,
Mhm.
and Coach Heyman, but he's done a remarkable job there at Baytown Sterling. He really has. And we talked about how young his team was last year.
Mhm.
That went what three? I think 3 rounds deep
Yeah.
last year. Lost to an Angleton team that
Mhm.
went on a historic
States-
program run on their own. So he's done a phenomenal job there in what he's doing. So happy to see that. Happy for him.
And then, well, Tuesday night's big night also because they have PNG hosting Barbers Hill. So your top 4 teams are playing against each other, on Tuesday night. So a lot of ramifications, especially with the district title. Like I said, if Barbers Hill can get a win over PNG, and if Westbrook gets a win over Sterling, it opens the door for
Yeah, now you have complete chaos in that
chaos.
district.
Yeah,
Is what you have, yeah.
so a lot of things could happen there. So it's like I said, Tuesday night's a big night for those 4 teams.
Gotcha. And then we move on. Our third and final district we want to highlight here is moving on to the 6A ranks on the boys side here, District 15 6A. Coach.
So another competitive district. We have a state champion, which is Klein Kane, but right now Klein Kane's sitting at 4th right now, and kind of the same situation with Austin Achieve. They could be in danger of not making the playoffs with Klein Collins hot on their trails by a game behind. But right now in first place, battling out is Klein Oak and Magnolia West. Magnolia West was also kind of on the brink of my Sizzling 7-2 as well. Um, they like I said, they're battling out. Because just a half a game separates them. But then you also have a good tomball team that's in third place. If they can get another win, they're pretty much kind of solidified that playoff spot for them for going into the playoffs, and they could cause some problems going in. As far as matchups for them, they like I said for Tomball, they got one of the rival schools, which is Memorial, but they have a key game coming up. They got to kind of run the gauntlet. They do have at Magnolia on the 6th, but then a key game with against hosting Klein Kane on March 7th. Klein Kane, like I said, trying to fight, to stay alive in the state and be able to kind of defend their district title. Uh, Big game coming up against at Klein Forest. Key game next Friday night. They host Klein Collins, and if they can beat Klein Collins, pretty much kind of you know kind of distance themselves as far as getting to the playoffs. They do have another, like I said, they have probably much the toughest schedule. They have Klein Collins on the 6th, at Tomball on March 10th, and then the finish with Magnolia West on March the 13th. So they got their work cut out, for them. So there's no room for error. And then Klein Oak, like I said, they're trying to get back into the district title run. Like I said, half a game behind. Um, they have a big win over Tomball on last Friday with the 2 wins. But like I said, they're at Magnolia West, so that's going to be the key.
Right.
That could be for the district title on Tuesday night, and then they have one. Then they have a finish at Klein, and then at Tomball Memorial. So still some tight races, some meaningful games for the district
Yeah.
title, and then also for the playoff spots.
Yeah. And if we thoroughly just confused you in the last 5 minutes, I apologize, but it's a lot, right? It's when we
Mhm.
start looking at the what if scenarios, we start looking at the remaining schedule, remaining matches, key district races that are heating up. It's a lot. But, interesting trend here, coach, right? What we're seeing is a lot of you know, reigning state champions. Now, here they are, less than a year removed from a state title, and they're battling for their playoff lives, right?
Mhm.
They're trying to make sure that they're in the top four. So that just goes to show to the strength and the level of competition and parity in Texas high school soccer, but particularly on the boys side, right? Which is incredible. It's pretty incredible in most, regardless of classification, regardless in what region you're talking about. So, kudos to all of those teams, all those districts. So, now if you got to highlight one of these 3 districts, coach, who would you see? Who would you say which one has the potential to be the most chaotic, and you would tell people to watch the most over the course of the next 2 weeks?
I think 19-5 is one. I think because Tuesday night's the big night because all 14 the top 4 teams are playing against each other. One could, get a foot in the door winning the district title, which is
Mhm.
Sterling. But if they lose and then Barber Hills wins, that could open the door for possible them to contention. Like I said, it's gonna come down to those last games. But also, I think maybe also kind of close by them is be District 15-6A too. Like I said, Klein, defending state champ Klein Kane, they have to run the gauntlet. They, like I said, they
Right.
literally gonna have to probably win the. I know they have a game that winnable game coming up on Tuesday, but they're gonna have to run the gauntlet and and beat two of the teams that are ahead of them, and maybe that'll help them also for better playoff seeding too. And that's the key there is who getting the better playoff seeding, and also we don't know who could it be a Division 1, Division 2, you know, changes and so forth. Like I said, something kind of like last year we had a with District, I think 26-5A here. When I think with Alamo Heights getting it, it knocked off Piper out of the Division 2, moved them over to Division 1. So
Right. Right.
those are some, like I said, that there's a lot of scenarios that a lot of games that come into factor as far as where you end up in the playoffs.
Yeah. And I feel we're definitely going to be in store for a lot of those theatrics over these next 2 weeks, right? Of teams shifting based upon results that take place, particularly I would say this week, right? It's going to set the table, set the stage for kind of winner take all, must win scenarios next Monday, Tuesday, and as well as those districts that are playing all the way into next Friday as well. So pretty interesting, great stuff. Lots of drama here. So interesting, man. A lot of good stuff, I'd say. Now, did you feel when you were going through these, did you have a hard time settling in on these 6 districts? Or,
Yeah,
I mean, how
yes,
deep do you really feel you could have gone?
yeah. Well, like I mentioned about 28-6A too, they're chaotic. You got 3 teams that could, I mean, if you look at O'Connor, depending on the upcoming result with the Warren and things Soto, they may open the door for them to win a district title. And it looked like they had a shot at it. And now with the result that Taft did on Friday night with that tie, it just opened the door. And, and there's other ones too. And like I said, and especially like in the Valley, like, I think 32, 5A, I know Lopez had to forfeit those games, but they've been on a tear and
Yeah, yeah.
they've gone back to contention. And it could change. I think the landscape could change too. It could knock off a team. I think the ones that was I think Donald North was in it, and now they're on the outside looking in. So it's like I said, you're starting to see a lot of those type of scenarios from from all over the state.
High drama. We are
Mhm.
definitely in store for high drama over these next 2 weeks. Big shout out to Jazz Guerrero in here as well from Franklin High School. Good friend of the podcast. Jazz, wishing you the absolute best as you get ready to finish out your high school career. As we know, it's been rocky, but you've been a trooper as you get ready for to go on to New Mexico State. Wishing you the absolute best. Um, Great show, Coach. Great stuff. Lots of great info.
Mhm.
We had, Jesse Tovar from Prep One here giving us a very thorough breakdown of all things El Paso high school soccer. Talked about the All Star Showcase event that he's trying to get off the ground for season 2 for their second annual All Star Showcase out there. Wishing them the absolute best out there. The RPI, the introduction of the Texas Sizzlin 7, which I thought was great, a great breakdown. Um, and then also just right now highlighting these district races. So it is that time, Coach. We're going to transition here, get ready to get out of here before we encroach on Joe Rogan territory. So stoppage time. Final thoughts, shout outs, thank yous, messages, anything that's on your mind as it relates to the game, different things we've been talking about or been covering, Coach. The floor is yours.
Yeah, just like I said, just like I said, it's gonna be an interesting week coming up. These, like I said, there's a lot of meaningful games, this coming week, and then into the next, that spring break week for most schools, and we'll hopefully get a clear picture, and hopefully the UIO has their certification on there, so we can get it makes Harry's job a lot easier. When it comes to the bracketology, get things up. Like I say, we did do if you watch the roundtable, especially for Region 4, we did kind of do a little mock one little scenario on. So possible matchups. Like I said, it's still playing a game, so things can change. So some, like I mentioned, there's gonna be some key games coming up. But also to just shout out, like I said, if like I said, I'll probably have another show again also for the roundtable. I'll have another RPI for San Antonio, so I'll probably do that. I know Steve just recently had his for his soccer 78 soccer. And we kind of have little. It's almost a mirror image, but we kind of have a little difference on who's number one, who's number two, but that's just how it is, and that's two soccer coaches there, from that. But and then just like I said, just getting ready for this week. Like I said, busy for me. I know with some of the recruitment, and also should have I think maybe a fan cast show. I don't know if I'll be on tomorrow night. I know it's working on, and knock on wood, there's no strike. That's what I'm hoping. There's no strike for the USL Championship. So hopefully there's a game on Saturday. But that's
Yeah. So what is the latest with that? I know we were talking about it Friday, but I'm listening to you. We just finished our
mhm,
match, and I'm talking to you. Your coverage out there, and you're talking to me about the USL
mhm.
strike, and I'm like, Rafa, I just got done with a game. That's the last thing on my mind right now. but uh, but yeah. So any developments since we were talking about it on Friday? What's the latest there
We haven't heard much yet.
for those who don't know or those who are interested? I guess.
Yeah, and especially like I said, I know Paso, our Paso viewers there because they have the El Paso local fans there, and so that kind of affects them too.
Yeah.
It's still up in the air. I had this conversation actually yesterday with Harry because we went to the John Jay and MacArthur game yesterday,
Hmm.
and we were discussing it. And if it is going to happen, it's probably happened before the first game of the season, which is this Saturday. So do not be surprised if you see something tomorrow develop if these players go on strike. I know there's something was put out. I think the U.S. I think Soccer Players Association or something like that. Kind of giving the green light for that.
Is it a if it doesn't happen by Saturday, then it's not happening kind of thing?
Per
Or
I would guess because I know Harry said, "I don't think they would play a game and then go on strike. I don't think that would make any sense." So
I thought this was in the clear back after January
yeah,
1st.
they
I thought
still
this was so yeah, I didn't know.
yeah, they're still been negotiating, and maybe if they do go strike tomorrow, and maybe it puts on pressure on them to get a deal done before Saturday. So
Mhm.
we'll see. It's up in the air. I know we reached out to a player, which we're not going to say the name, but
Yeah.
to discuss the
You can say it.
matter.
No one's listening in here. No one's listening here. You can say it's not a
And
USL podcast. You can say.
so, but just out of respect for him, and
Yeah, yeah.
he's hopeful for that things clear up, and I know what they're fighting for, and then it's just especially with the whole thing, and then with a pro reg coming in 2028,
Mhm.
it's something that I
So
think the players
what's the chief issue with
uh
this potential
insur-
strike?
I think it's insurance coverage with insurance. I think that's what they're trying to get as part of the collective bargaining.
The
Have
CBA.
yeah, to have
So
that
the
covered
current
by the
CBA has zero
hmm
insurance?
I believe so.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
So
Interesting. Hey, speaking of El Paso, you know what I learned today? I did not know this. I really did not. I guess apparently trying out or is part of the team. I don't know where he is on this for the locomotive is Mr. Danny Rojas from Ted Lasso. Did you know that? I had
yeah,
no clue. I was like,
I
why does
know,
that why
and
does
I
that guy look familiar? And then I was
and
like,
I
oh my
have
god,
and I have his Funko Pop, so I don't know. Maybe I'll bring it to the game. It's like, hey, sign it, but we're still gonna beat you anyways
there you go,
on the
there you go.
on April the 18th. Oh, that's
Yeah,
well, the game's at El Paso on the 18th. I don't think we play them again home. We don't host them till like October. I think in October, I believe. So
yeah. It's always a weird schedule
mhm,
with them. I don't know why. So or it ends up being on a Wednesday or something,
mhm.
But yeah, very weird. But yeah, I did not know that. I was today years old when I learned that. I was like, why does that guy look so familiar? And then I realized who that was, and I was like, oh wow. So pretty interesting.
I may get to see him actually in a couple of weeks because I'll be in Laredo, um, recruiting out there, and I think that Laredo Heat's hosting a U.S. Open Cup game, maybe if there isn't
Mhm.
a strike. But they're hosting El Paso there at the new Pyramid Stadium, so I'm gonna finally get a chance to check it out the new stadium there. I mean, I've driven through there;
Nice
it's
little shout out
nice.
here from Del Valle Women's Soccer, right? For you there, Rafa. Good deal. Awesome. Well, hey, I mean, yeah, we'll see. Keep me. So you're
Mhm.
saying so Fancast is gonna have
Yeah, I think
an
Fancast
episode
might be
tomorrow?
on
Yeah.
tomorrow, I believe. I don't know if I'll get to be on because I do have an event tomorrow night.
Mhm.
So I think I'm going to be at Harlan tomorrow. That was another team I was close to having in the Sizzling 7-2.
Yeah.
That's another team to keep an eye on. But
Right.
and also I wanted to give a shout out to Cole Bledsoe, win number 300.
Yeah. 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 Coach Rob Bledsoe, also the head men's soccer coach at the San Antonio O'Connor Panthers, as well as the president of Tasco. So our
Mhm.
president there, Mr. President, congratulations on your 300th win. Such an awesome guy. Such an awesome love working with him. Just love talking with him. So congrats to Rob. Thank you for mentioning that, Coach. Had a couple of coaches, a couple of 300s, a couple of 250s.
Mhm.
Well, so shout out coaches. Um, my final thought is going to be a little different. Going to be a little on the sappy side, right? So we have senior nights across the board. I know we've had some obviously already, but this is heavy senior night season, right? These next 2 weeks as well. So for our seniors everywhere on the boys' side, on the girls' side, enjoy your moment, enjoy your day, but don't get so sidetracked because the one thing I can tell you coaches don't like about senior nights is it throws them off, throws our athletes off of their routine, their pregame warm up routine, right? So enjoy it, make the best of it, enjoy the memories, soak it all in, and at the same time, the other half of that message is for our non-seniors, right? Whether you're a junior, sophomore, or even if you're a freshman playing varsity, or you have aspirations to play varsity one day, just live in the moment, day to day, every year, because before you know it, you're going to be a senior, and you're going to be like, man, I was always wanting to be somewhere else. I was always I never took the time to enjoy where I currently am, or didn't take in the moments enough. And that's been the one thing that I've heard from all my seniors over the many years of the many players that I've coached. They're just always be in the moment, enjoy it, have fun, make memories, take the time to enjoy it, take the time to get to know your teammates off the field and do things with them off the field. Very important. So yeah, that is going to do it. Final thoughts? Anything else, Coach, to add as we wrap up?
Just like I said, just looking forward to this week. Should be some fun games. I know the weather's going to be a factor. I think all over the state of Texas, so it should be some wet weather coming in. Not so much Tuesday, but I think more of the weekend games. So that could
Yeah.
come in big play, especially those big games that we have coming up. Some teams are trying to wrap up some district titles, and some are trying to stay in the playoff race or trying to clinch a playoff spot. So we'll
Mhm.
see how that goes.
Yeah, yeah. And for for our coaches, we'll put out more info. I know there was recently on the Tasco Sports U boards. I know I've had some reach out to me about an upcoming trip to Barcelona in November. Posted more information to come on that and contact information. So if you are not on the Tasco Sports, you make sure you join those groups for your particular region. Lots of more information coming on that as well. Great opportunity for coaches. I think they're trying to put together a tour of 25 coaches in November. So it's a great opportunity for sure. So that is going to do it for season 6, episode 7 of Inside Texas High School Soccer. Again, I'm your host, Coach Hector Cano. And for my lovely Vanna White and Mr. Rafa Castorena, I really appreciate you, brother. Thank you again. Great to get this show back off the ground after 3 weeks. We'll be back much, much sooner. So thank you for all of our listeners, all our supporters, everybody that chimed in on the comments tonight. Really appreciate all of you. And hey, last 2 weeks of the regular season before we start shifting to the most wonderful time of the year, right? The real March Madness, as we say.
Mhm.
Lots of information coming on bracketology as well. This will be what, season 6 of
6.
bracketology, I think. Yeah.
One second.
So yeah, we'll see. We'll determine the format. We'll see what kind of nonsense we can come up with this. What kind of clothes Rafa will wear for this year's edition, right? And
No teams. I'll just wear my I'll wear an SAFC jersey.
we'll keep it neutral. We'll keep it neutral.
I'll
So
keep it neutral this year, even
yeah,
though
there
I,
you go.
I wore a Harker Heights jersey the last Tuesday night.
Did you pick against them too?
No.
Oh yeah.
They're actually having a good season. So
They
that's
are.
another.
They
Yeah,
are.
keep an
They
eye
are.
on them too. Because
Yeah.
I talked to a couple of their players and said, they're.
Yeah.
I think they're one game away to clinching a district title. So
Nice.
so keep an eye on them for the boys.
Congrats to them. Congrats to them.
Mhm.
So, all right. For Rafa Castorena, I'm your host, Coach Hector Cano, and you know what to do. Thank you for being with us tonight. You know what to do. Until the next time, keep downloading and keep listening. You've been listening to the 50/50 Podcast, powered by the 50/50 Podcast Network. Help us continue to grow by liking, rating, and subscribing on all major podcast platforms. And don't forget to follow us on X at 50_50 pod, on Instagram at 50_50 podcast, as well as on YouTube at the 50_50 podcast. Until the next time, keep downloading and keep listening.